I'm Christina. I'm a registered dietitian, a certified diabetic educator, and a prediabetes prevention coach. I've been working at Methodist for 16 years now. And tonight we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes and also, prediabetes, because prediabetes is the precursor to diabetes, of course. Um, the most important factor that happens when you that can happen when you're diabetic is you really want to watch your fat intake and your exercise, um, because fat has the highest calories out of all of your food groups, and fat, since it has the highest calories, it can increase your weight quite a bit. So um, we need to be watching our fat intake. So this first one is we're talking about be a fat and calorie detective. So it says reducing the fat and calories in our meals is one of the most important steps we can take to improve our health, to reach healthy eating goals. We need to track our weight and how much we eat. Our role as a fat and calorie detective is to find the high fat, high calorie foods in our meals and figure out ways to make them healthier. We also want to monitor our food and weight. Monitoring what we eat is a smart way of making sure we make healthy choices. Monitoring what we do is the most important part of changing our behavior. Therefore, an important part of this program is to write down everything you eat and drink in your food and activity tracker. So, studies have shown that people that journal their food, either writing it down in a journal or you could download a free app to journal your food in. The app that I really like is either MyFitnessPal, which is a free app, or it's called Tempo Smart, Tempo Smart, Smart. And it will, you can share a lot of that information with your healthcare team. And you can print it out to give them more information, because you are what you eat, basically. And if you're not tracking it, then you really aren't aware of what you're eating. So down at the bottom it says, how am I doing? Use the how am I doing weight chart to track your weight at home and before each session. So you want to weigh yourself at least once a week. Anything more than weighing yourself once a week is not good, because you're not going to see any changes. So maybe, and you want to weigh yourself in the morning, because by the end of the day, after you drink all your fluid, you're going to weigh a lot more. So you want to always weigh yourself first thing in the morning when you get up. And this chart is important because it shows how your weight is changing over time, because you want to see some weight loss to um, help you not become diabetic. And then the quick fact says, why does it matter if I get type 2 diabetes? People with diabetes are twice as likely as people without diabetes to die early. The good news is that by making smart choices in eating and physical activity, you can delay or prevent type 2 diabetes. But there's more good news. Even with diabetes, people can lower their chances of blindness, kidney disease, heart attack, and stroke by eating healthy and getting regular physical activity. So what they recommend is at least 5 days a week at 30 minutes per day at the 5 days. Okay, the next page talks about your fat gram goal. So everyone is different. We each have different needs. So each of you will be assigned a number of daily fat grams. That number is your budget of fat grams per day. We will base the number of fat grams assigned to you on your present weight and weight loss goal of 7%. And of course, we will help you to keep track and break down the foods you eat to stay within this budget. You will use the fat and calorie counter or those apps that I suggest, the MyFitnessPal and the Tempo Smart app, to help you figure out what to eat and the right amounts. Next week or next time we meet, we will be exciting because you will be taking the first key steps towards changing how you live. You are now beginning to improve your health and reduce your chance of getting type 2 diabetes. Okay, so now the next page, we're talking about all about fat. To help you lose weight, we will begin building healthy eating habits. Here are some facts about fat and calories to get you started. Healthy eating means eating less fat and fewer calories. Eating too much fat is what makes us fat. And by eating less fat, you can lose weight. Fat has the most calories out of all the foods we eat. Fat contains more than twice the calories as the same amount of sugar, starch, or protein. Even small amounts of high-fat foods are high in calories. So the chart at the bottom says we're comparing peanuts with popcorn. So for peanuts, for a 1/4 cup, which is a small handful, is 19 grams of fat and 215 calories. Whereas popcorn, which is a small mini bag of popcorn, which is 3 cups of popcorn, air popped, would be 0 grams of fat, 90 calories. But obviously, if you get the butter flavored popcorn, it's going to have more fat than that. So it's best to do the air popped because it's healthier for you. So, and popcorn takes up a lot more room and it fills you up a lot quicker. Plus, it's full of fiber. So, what high fat foods do you eat? You know, a lot of people like to eat pizza and tacos and gyro and milkshakes and French fries and all sorts of fast foods. So I encourage you to look those up on that MyFitnessPal app or the Tempo Smart app to see what are the values in grams of fats on the foods that you normally eat. And it can be quite surprising. So, quick fact at the bottom, almost 3/4 of the fat we eat is hidden in the food that we cannot see the fat. Okay, so here's some examples. Sample lunch menu. So look at this example of a typical lunch at a fast food restaurant. Notice the amount of fat and calories. So we have fried fish sandwich is 19 grams of fat, 5 teaspoons of fat, and 411 calories. We have large French fries, which is 22 fat grams, 6 teaspoons of fat, and 437 calories. And then we have an apple turnover, which is fried, which is 15 grams of fat, 4 teaspoons of fat, and 288 calories. And then we have a milkshake with ice cream, which is 18 grams of fat, and 5 teaspoons of fat, and 346 calories. So if you ate all this stuff in one meal, that would be a total of 74 fat grams, 20 teaspoons of fat, and 1,482 calories. And these are estimates. The actual amount of fat and calories can vary by brand. So ideally, this would be basically more than you would want to eat in one day, just in one meal. So Tracking your fat and calories. Keeping track of fat is important. Just follow the steps below. Look at the chart on the next page. It shows the number of fat grams you can eat each day and still lose weight. You want to write down everything that you eat and drink. Be honest, because if it doesn't work, if you're not completely honest, you're only cheating yourself. And number 3, figure out how many fat grams are in everything you eat and drink. Measure the amount you eat and the amount you drink. Look up each item in the fat and calorie counter and write down the amount of fat and calories in each item that you eat or drink, and then add up the fat grams you eat and drink during the day. Try to eat only the number that you can have each day and still lose weight. So it all depends on your weight. So the fat gram goal, use this chart to figure out the number of fat grams you can have each day. Try to eat only the number besides your weight. So if you weigh 174 pounds currently or less, you should be eating around 33 grams of fat per day, and so on and so forth. So obviously, if you weigh 300 pounds or higher, you're going to have a higher fat gram goal. So this is a very important page to document, to look at or screenshot, so you know how many fat grams you should be having per day. So what quick fact, 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. This means that if you want to lose 1 to 2 pounds each week, you want to eat between 500 and 1,000 fewer calories every day. Okay, so here are some tips for getting the most out of the fat and calorie counter. Problems finding a food. If a fat food is not listed, use the fat gram and calorie values for a food that is closest to it. So for example, use banana bread or zucchini bread because they're pretty similar in nutritional content. Write the name of the food in the back of your journal, or and you can ask us about it because we're pretty knowledgeable on how much fat is in everything. And then if you're having trouble figuring out the fat grams and calories, write down the food and drink and the amount you ate. And we can always help you out. But typically, if you Google it or look it up in the MyFitnessPal, it's going to be in there or something similar. Okay, how to measure the fat and calories in a recipe. So you want to add up the fat grams of each ingredient in the recipe and divide the results by the number of people the entire recipe will serve. The answer is the number of fat grams in each serving. In the same way, you can calculate the number of calories in each serving. If you can't find an ingredient in the fat and calorie counter, find an ingredient that is like the one in your recipe. Write down the fat grams and calories in that ingredient as a substitute for the one you can't find. If you often cook from recipes, bring a favorite recipe next week. Your lifestyle coach will help you count the grams of fat. And then here is a worksheet where you can, put the time that you're eating, the amount, like 1 cup, 2 cups, 1 tablespoon. You want to get out your measuring items there. And then the food or the name or description of it, like, okay, I had a cup of cereal or a couple slices or a couple eggs, and then you can write the grams of fat on there. Okay, then we're looking at eating packaged foods. So all foods have a nutrition facts label on them. This is a sample of a nutrition label that you see on many packaged foods. This label shows information about the fat, calories, and other nutrients in the food. So the nutrition facts serving size is 1 ounce. So if you had a digital food scale, you'd weigh it out to be 1 ounce or 28 grams. or you can count out 21 pieces of whatever this is. So let's say it's like 21 pieces of small crackers or something. Um, so you always want to find the serving size and decide if this is the amount you ate. Maybe you ate more or less, because if you ate double 21 pieces, that would be 42 pieces. Then you have to double everything on this nutrition facts label. The amount per serving is, you want to look at the calories, and then you want to look at the total fat grams per serving. So if you ate the 21 pieces, it would be 9 grams of fat. But if you ate 42 pieces or double that, then you would be 18 grams of fat. And that's what you would want to document for your fat gram total for this particular item. Okay, and then keep this in mind. If you eat a larger serving than the size on the label, you'll be eating more calories and more fat grams than are given on the label. And you want to figure that out. Okay. So also you want to keep track of your weight, maybe in a journal, or you can actually track it in the apps that we talked about, which is the Temple Smart or the MyFitnessPal. You want to weigh yourself at home every day or every few days at this time of day in the morning or when you first get up. Record my weight on the, in your tracker, and then keep track of what you eat and drink. Write down everything you eat and drink so you can be honest with yourself. So you can actually see what you're doing, because nobody's going to remember what they ate last week. And then use the fat and calorie counter to figure out how much fat is in each item you eat, and then write down the fat grams in the tracker or on those apps that we talked about, and then keep a running fat gram total throughout the day. You want to come as close to your fat gram goal as you can. Okay, so so there are good fats and then there's bad fats. So obviously we want to avoid the trans fats, the French fries, the donuts, the vegetable shortening, the margarine, the deep fried foods, many fresh baked foods like pies and cookies, and some packaged snacks and candies, because those can be really high in fat. And you want to eat less of the saturated fat, which would be your butter, your whole milk, your cream, your red meat, your desserts like cakes and ice cream, and animal skins like of chicken and turkey. And then you want to focus in on eating the good fats, the healthiest fats, which would be like your fatty fish, or like your salmon and your trout, your extra virgin olive oil, your nuts, your avocados or avocado oil are going to be super healthy as well. And ghee, you could add ghee and coconut oil on that list as well. Ghee is a lactose-free butter. So basically it's butter that they remove the lactose from. So it's typically found in the baking aisle of the grocery store. And it's pretty tasty. So something new to try if you haven't tried that before. And the best way to tell if an olive oil is good for you, because 70% of the olive oils out there are fake. They're not real. They're mixed with other oils. So the best way to tell is, first off, you want to buy an olive oil that's in a glass container. A darkened glass container, like a dark green or like a black color. Second off, if you try a spoonful of it, it should feel a little peppery on the back of your throat. And then third off, if you, the country of origin should only be one country. So a lot of them say from Italy or from Spain. You only want it to have one country listed on the bottle, because if it's from 4 different countries, then more than likely it's 4 different types of oils and it's processed and it's not healthy for you. And then fourth off, you want to put it in the fridge, and if it starts to get cloudy, that means that it's the real deal. If it doesn't get cloudy, then it is not a true extra virgin olive oil. And a lot of people think that you should cook with extra virgin olive oil, and that is not the case. When you cook with olive oil, it burns up all the nutrition in there because it has a smoking point of around 200 degrees. So once the olive oil starts to smoke, then it's burning up all the nutrition in there. Same thing with all your other types of oils. So you want to add the olive oil to your food after you cook it for the flavor and the nutritional benefit. Also avocado oil, is really good for putting it in the air fryer or in the oven, or if you're going to cook some eggs. And you always want to make sure that it says expeller pressed, cold pressed, unrefined. And the cheapest one that I found is at Aldi for $7.99. Can't go wrong. And it's in a glass bottle. Or you can get the spray version. The Chosen brand is pretty good. It's like a green and white bottle, and they sell those at all the local grocery stores as well. And the avocado oil is really good for the air fryer and the oven or cooking on the stove, because it can go up to 500 degrees or higher. And then same thing with the ghee, you can heat that up to a pretty high temperature as well. And the coconut oil it's good for baking different items as well. So that's it. So there is a diabetic plate method that I like to see if I can find one. Hold on. Okay. So the diabetic plate method, I'm trying to pull it up. Hold on. Okay, here we are. Okay, we got some people here. Okay, so trying to hold it up so everybody can see it. Okay, so this is the diabetic plate method. As you can see, it's a half a plate of vegetables, and the vegetables that you want to focus in on are the non-starchy vegetables, which would be things like zucchini, tomatoes, salad greens, radishes, peppers, pea pods, okra, mushrooms, eggplant, dark leafy greens, cucumbers, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and asparagus. These have the lowest amount of sugar and the lowest amount of fat, unless you're adding, obviously, oils to it, like the extra virgin olive oil or the ghee or the avocado oil when you're cooking them. The next thing that you want to eat on your plate are the proteins. So your proteins should be about the size of a deck of cards. And you see we have the chicken, the eggs and cheese, fish, the lean beef, the shrimp, and the tofu in this category for your protein. And then the last category that you want to eat on your plate is going to be your carbohydrate section, because that's going to raise your blood sugar the most. So you want to really fill up on the vegetables and the protein, and then always eat the carbohydrates last. So your starchy vegetables are the good old corn in Indiana, corn tortillas, fruits, berries, whole grains, squashes like your acorn and your winter squash, and your beans, lentils, and peas, and of course milks and yogurts have carbohydrates as well. And then it's always good to drink good old water. And then on our back side of the plate, we always want our fruits to be about the size of a tennis ball. So as you can see, this apple is around 2.5 inches, or about the size of a tennis ball. And that's going to be 1 serving of carbohydrates. Our nuts, we want them to keep them about a handful, or 1 ounce, or 1/4 of a cup. And that's going to be 170 calories. And then our fats, we want to do about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. So just remember, 1 teaspoon of olive oil goes a long way. And then if you're going to do salad dressing, you want to do around 2 tablespoons per meal. And a good way to limit your dressing is to dip your fork in a small bowl on the side to flavor, to get a little bit of flavor on the fork before you stab your lettuce with it with each bite. Especially if you're using like a creamy dressing, like a ranch or a blue cheese, because those are definitely higher calorie than the vinaigrette type dressings. Okay. And then it's also good to use your fist. So you see my fist is about 1 cup. So you can kind of measure it with the sheet. And then, if your fist is this large, then it's going to be 1.5 cup. But the most average person is going to be about 1 cup. If you have a really large hand, it's going to be 1.5 cups. And then that can give you an estimate on how big your meal is when you're journaling it in the apps and whatnot. Because you're not always going to have measured cups with you, obviously. So, okay. And then we got 1-800-DIABETES. It's a good number to call for the American Diabetic Association. And then there's also a website called diabetes.org-what can I eat? And this is a 7-inch plate. So paper plate size is ideally what you want to be eating off of, because the larger size plate that you eat off of, the larger portions you're going to put on your plate. And we're trying to eat smaller portions to control our weight and lose the weight so we don't become diabetic.